He is an immortal and indestructible demon king. Yet he was reincarnated by the gods as humanity's holy son. It turns out that in his previous life, he was lucky enough to win the lottery jackpot, but before he could enjoy it, he discovered he had cancer. However, every cloud has a silver lining. After chewing a clove of garlic, he was reborn as a skeletal monster. From a low-level skeletal monster, he evolved into the immortal king, and he led the demon race to prosperity. His real name is Isaac. Everyone affectionately calls him He is Isaac. His ultimate goal is to become human so he can fulfill his dream of defecating. Thus, Isaac ventured into the divine realm. He once had an agreement with these gods. All he had to do was eliminate the rebel forces opposing the divine realm, and they would transform him into a human. But from the start, these gods had no intention of honoring the pact. They simply had no way to turn Isaac into a human and only wanted to exploit him. Upon learning this, he was furious, exclaiming, "You fools, how long are you planning to deceive me? Even my dream of pooping, something you couldn't even pull off, so you might as well all turn into shit. Alright, enough chit-chat, let's dive into the tale of Isaac's journey to fulfill his dream of defecating." The clear blue sky and the enormous hospital appeared before him. Panicked, he had only one thought: I want to live, I don't want to die. The doctor solemnly announced that his illness had never been detected before, and it will be named after you. After a pause, he continued regretfully, "You have at most 6 months to live." Gripping the medical report tightly, he winced as those words echoed relentlessly in his mind. People around him began whispering at his unusual behavior, yet he only felt emptiness. In disbelief, he wondered why life was so unjust. He had worked tirelessly like a beast just to gain a little stability, and now he was on the brink of death. Wandering aimlessly down the street, suddenly, someone pulled him back, urgently warning him to be careful because this place was very dangerous. But he no longer cared. He collapsed to the ground, letting negative thoughts engulf his mind. Looking at the lottery ticket rolling on the floor, he bitterly thought it was ironic that he had just won the jackpot. He knelt on the ground, trembling in despair, pleading with fate that he still wanted to live, not die. Clutching the lottery ticket tightly, he only prayed for a miracle. But then, the scene around him changed. Despite his desperate pleas to live, he never expected to exist in the form of a skeleton. Looking down at his new body, he could only lament, was it destiny that he had to be reincarnated like this? Even defecation was no longer possible. Just then, a three-eyed monster charged toward him. He drew his sword and roared that he would kill them all. His sword slowly became stained with blood. But then, he realized that a giant was approaching. He immediately took a defensive stance. A powerful blow from the giant sent him flying, but he swiftly counterattacked, pouring all his might into his blazing sword, and shouted, "This damn ordeal must end." At last, the enemy collapsed, and he coldly declared that the suppression of the rebel forces was complete. After his reincarnation, he had become a low-level demon, gradually evolving into the undead king. The chant, Demon King, Immortal, echoed all around. He continued to recount his journey, from reviving an almost extinct demon army over countless centuries to standing before those who once regarded him as their favored one. Although he might have gone bald, now as the Demon King, a servant trembled while calling out his name, but completely mispronounced it. Irritated, he reminded them, "My name is Isaac, not Isaac as you keep saying." But it seemed these folks could never get it right. Not wanting to continue the pointless conversation, he simply told them to take care of themselves. When someone anxiously asked where he was going, he coldly replied, "I'm off to collect my reward." He longed to achieve his ultimate goal, to become human. Turning his gaze toward the heavenly realm, he declared that he had eliminated all their enemies, and by the pact, they were obliged to transform him into a human. But instead of keeping their promise, they hesitated, whispering among themselves that they hadn't expected him to complete the task in such a short time. Some even began scheming about forcing him to work without pay for a while longer. Hearing this, he immediately exploded in anger, shouting, "I heard everything." Then, nearly whispering, he reminded them, "You promised to turn me into a human if I defeated all your enemies." Seeing their continued hesitation, he gritted his teeth and cursed under his breath. At that moment, one of the top figures in the divine realm smiled cryptically and asked, "Could you take on one more task?" His fury erupted, "Even if I'm just a skeleton, you all better know your limits," he roared. "You bastards, forcing me to work like slaves while you still have the means to turn me into a human, isn't that right?" The more he spoke, the greater his fury grew, and now, even when facing deities, he wasn't the least bit afraid. He looked frightened, as if he had suddenly realized something. Someone beside him reminded everyone that they should never have trusted him in the first place. That other one, full of arrogance, wondered why they had to compromise with a lunatic like him. Furious, he roared, "All you know is empty talk. Aside from your summoning spells, you can't create or destroy anything. As a soul, he was already incapable of truly living, so if you can't turn me into someone who makes the heavenly realm tremble, then I don't need you at all." They, trembling with fear, quickly begged for more time, promising that if he helped them with a few more tasks, they would grant his wish. But he immediately cut them off, roaring, "To pay for your broken promises, I will take your lives." He threatened, declaring that he would turn you all into dry bones, just like me. Suddenly, his power surged and spread throughout the room. He grinned in satisfaction. But at that moment, something strange happened. He was astonished to realize that his magical power had suddenly vanished, leaving his body completely immobile. The blonde guy standing before him smirked. He declared that once he writes someone's name on a piece of paper, that person will be rendered completely immobile. They all shouted in unison, "Destroy," revealing that this was a high-level sacred technique used to seal disasters like him. They scornfully mocked that an ordinary demon like him should be grateful to serve them. Now, he would have to live a wretched life like a worm. He sneered provocatively, asking, "Can't you choose a hairier worm instead?" He mocked, remarking that he was still obsessed with his hair. Just then, as the light from the paper in his hand flashed, he was dumbfounded, realizing something was amiss. He continued laughing mockingly, declaring that if they wanted to act, they should at least do it faster before he could catch on. Before he could be transformed into a worm, he chose to take his own life. They panicked upon witnessing that mad act, unable to believe he had actually dared to do it. However, one among them remained calm. He confirmed that the ritual was proceeding as intended, meaning that the Demon King's soul had been sealed. When he regained consciousness, he sensed something was different about his body. Instead of being turned into a worm as they had planned, he discovered that he had hands, flesh, and the form of a newborn baby. Around him were strangers who called him a saint. A nurse rejoiced that he had awakened, while others thought he should sleep a little longer. Confused, he wondered who these people were. Could they be his guardians? Had he truly become human? But his suspicion grew as he noticed their enigmatic expressions. One of them spoke cryptically, saying that even though they didn't want to, they had to complete the mission. Before he could understand what was happening, a suspicious baby bottle appeared before him. They gently apologized for forcing him to sleep longer, and then their final words resounded, "May you sleep in peace for 1,000 autumns." In panic, he tried to struggle, but could only burst into tears. He thought, "I just got reborn, and now I'm going to die again." A baby bottle had just been presented to him, but the moment it touched his lips, he immediately turned away, causing those around him to panic. They couldn't understand why he refused to drink. He turned his back, silently thinking that now that he had become human again, there was no reason to drink such a suspicious concoction. Yet, he then wondered, why did he have to become human in the first place? His caretakers appeared perplexed, not understanding why he wasn't behaving like a normal baby. If he continued like this, could he ever sleep peacefully? Someone inadvertently called him Isaac, which startled him. Wasn't that his real name? Yet they mistakenly addressed him as Isaac. He gradually realized the truth. He had been sealed, but for some reason, he was reincarnated into a body bearing his own name. He chuckled coldly, secretly despising those who had sealed him. They thought themselves magnificent, yet were so careless as to fail in confining him. While he was still pondering, a baby bottle was placed into his mouth. He immediately resisted, leaving those around him flustered. They marveled that even as a mere child, he was unexpectedly strong. He thought to himself, "Is this vegetable juice? How awful." He suspected that this might be an assassination attempt using that disgusting concoction. How ironic, after struggling so much to become human, he now had to face this. Elsewhere in the holy palace of the holy nation of Hellan, an old man smiled slyly, confident that the child could not possibly survive. Before him stood Emperor Alexander. The cold-toned emperor asked, "You seem very pleased, old man." The old man respectfully bowed and explained that the Joshua clan had come to deliver their greetings to the saint candidate, for the holy court could not overlook a saint. Emperor Alexander smiled mysteriously and nodded in agreement, stating that since this matter concerned a saint, he would personally inspect it. However, he also warned that if any incident were to occur after handing the saint candidate over to the holy court, it would be most unfortunate. When the servants rushed to his room, they were utterly alarmed. But contrary to their initial worries, the sight before them was astonishing. He was safe and had even sucked on all 15 bottles of vegetable juice. The servants were excited, exclaiming that he ate remarkably well, truly an angel. The old man was stunned, unable to believe his ears. This is absurd, you should have died after drinking that. He was furious, for what was in that bottle was not ordinary vegetable juice, but diet tontai, a highly potent toxin that destroys holy power. Taken in sufficient doses, it would undoubtedly be lethal. But he had already noticed something unusual in his body. He understood that this was not an ordinary poison, but a source of energy that could be transformed into demonic power. He happily accepted it, thinking he never expected his enemy to inadvertently facilitate the absorption of demonic power so easily. So excited, he requested another bottle, much to the surprise of those around him. They smirked slyly, secretly thinking that the more he drank, the happier they'd be, since the effects of this substance wouldn't manifest immediately. But he thought otherwise. How wonderful, once I triumph, I'll absorb all of this demonic power. Deep within the realm of his subconscious, he began to concentrate, condensing the energy he had just absorbed into his mana core. But as the condensation process took place, he unexpectedly discovered something strange. His mana core lacked its usual color, instead radiating a pure white light. He couldn't understand why, but the surge of power far exceeded any of his expectations. He silently wondered how many blessings had been infused into this infant body. If fully harnessed, he could become a monster more powerful than anything he had ever imagined. In the holy court, a piercing shout resounded, an enraged voice bellowed, "Who dares to assert that a saint will rule the holy nation?" It was the archbishop, utterly incensed, declaring that everyone stubbornly insisted their own child was a saint, even those from the most insignificant clans. A senior bishop quickly interjected to calm everyone down, assuring that all the other saint candidates had already been dealt with. The archbishop nodded in agreement but still appeared worried, hinting at some rather unpleasant rumors. These words made the bishop uneasy. Then, with a grim expression, he warned that there was still one saint candidate from the Joshua clan. Upon hearing this, the bishop stuttered, referring to the Joshua clan as a significant force within the court, and explaining that there was nothing they could do about it. However, before he could finish his sentence, the wine goblet in the archbishop's hand fell, cutting him off. The spilled wine all over the floor looked like blood. The priest continued to assert that the child would die as soon as the bishop arrived, and that his only duty was to confirm the death. He emphasized that everything had already been arranged. His expression grew increasingly menacing, and every word he uttered seemed as if he wished to take someone's life. He insisted that the saint must come from the Berit family. Meanwhile, the bishop stood before the child, silently thinking that it should have already died. Yet, right before his eyes, the infant was still alive, causing the bishop to tremble with fear as cold sweat streamed down his face. At that moment, the emperor was also present. He cheerfully patted the child's face and remarked that its radiant blonde hair was exactly the same as that of the nation's founder. When asked about this, the bishop stammered in confirmation that the emperor wasn't wrong. The child, with a dazed look, gazed at them, silently thinking that the man before it was indeed the emperor. He even commented that this child seemed more attuned to the divine than even the current holy emperor, truly a candidate for sainthood in the nation. Hearing this, the child was astonished, gradually realizing that this was why people kept talking about the saint. Meanwhile, the bishop felt uneasy too, silently thinking that if the emperor had favored this child from the start, things would only become more complicated. Not wanting the situation to continue as it was, the bishop proposed that the child be taken into his care. The emperor then asked for an explanation. The bishop claimed something was amiss. After all, a newborn couldn't possibly drink so much vegetable juice. However, the emperor retorted that it wasn't unusual for a saintly candidate to consume the church's provisions. The baby, lying in its crib, silently thought that it was absurd for someone originally the demon king to become a saintly candidate. The bishop persisted, insisting he wasn't yet sure and hoped the emperor would hand the child over for care, but the emperor replied that someone from the Joshua family would be arriving soon, so the matter could be postponed. While the two were still arguing, the baby suddenly sensed an odd aura emanating. It quickly covered its mouth, worried that it was the dark mana it hadn't yet fully digested. It involuntarily scanned the surroundings to check if anyone had noticed. The bishop, however, did not abandon his intention to approach and asserted that he had just sensed a stream of dark mana emanating from the child. His face immediately shifted into a look of suspicion, as if he sensed something was wrong. Upon hearing this, the child panicked, silently thinking that it had been discovered. The bishop continued, claiming that the child might merely be a failed candidate tainted with dark power and should be immediately reported to the exorcist. The child, furious upon hearing this, silently cursed inwardly. The emperor, unable to hide his anger, roared, "How dare you speak like that about such a precious saintly candidate?" However, the bishop remained calm, asserting that the emperor need not worry, since the Holy Church had decided to choose a candidate from the Berit family as the next saint. Hearing this, the emperor grew wary, silently thinking that the bishop intended to elevate someone from his own family as the saint, a truly shameless act. The child, also incensed, realized that this was exactly why the bishop wanted to eliminate it. The bishop then ordered that the child be taken immediately to the exorcist, while the child could only helplessly mutter curses under its breath. At that moment, the emperor reminded everyone that the Joshua family was a close ally of the court, and in his capacity as emperor, he believed that the child still needed to be examined. The bishop replied that he understood. But he also reminded that the crown prince's blessing could only be granted after a saint was chosen. This remark left the emperor momentarily stunned, prompting him to ponder more deeply about the situation. He silently thought that if he did not support the child chosen by the Holy Church, they might very well refuse to bestow the blessing upon the crown prince. He wondered if this was truly the church's will. Meanwhile, the child grew increasingly furious, inwardly cursing those who only chased after money. It worried that if they discovered its true identity, everything would become extremely complicated. Yet its eyes continued to watch everything around. The elderly bishop declared in a firm tone that, if necessary, they could immediately verify matters using his exorcism power. However, he paid no attention to the baby bottle in the child's hand, while the bishop was still babbling, explaining that if the kid were human nothing would happen, but if it were a demon, catastrophe would strike instantly. A loud noise suddenly erupted. In the blink of an eye, the bishop was struck straight in the face by the baby bottle, sending him sprawling to the ground. He instantly lost consciousness, his teeth knocked out and raining down like raindrops. The child maintained its innocent expression. Its small hand continued to shake the bottle as if nothing had happened, simply thinking that it should just keep acting like a normal baby. The bishop, beaten to the point of swelling, glared angrily at the child and exclaimed, "With just a bottle, you've caused such horrendous damage." Yet, those around paid him no mind. They were all busy praising the child, amazed by the radiant light emanating from it and thinking that it must be holy power. Surely, this child was destined to be a saint. Though the child's face remained innocent, inside it was troubled. It could sense a holy power within its body, yet it wondered what the true source of that power was. Not wanting to dwell on it further, it happily shook the bottle once more. Then it directly delivered another blow to the bishop's cheek. It wanted to see what else the old man was capable of. The bishop, reeling from the blow and in panic, shuddered inwardly, constantly wondering if this was some kind of dark magic. In response to this series of actions, the emperor burst into hearty laughter, and the surrounding guards grew excited. Isaac was immensely thrilled, repeatedly striking the bishop's face while simultaneously increasing the hardness of his weapon. "I must use normalization magic to harden this bottle even further, and then act like an innocent, naive baby," he thought. "How about that, you dog?" he sneered, being continuously hit in the face, as if even snakes and tigers were collapsing to the ground. Witnessing this, the guards couldn't help but exclaim, "That snake-hearted fellow is clearly awed by his holy power." He looked at his weapon and kept wondering, "What is this? Although it's weak, whenever I use dark mana, every divine strike that follows comes with it. These two forces are clearly complete opposites. How can they possibly be used together? It must surely be related to that white mana core." Just as he was about to stun him further, the bishop raised his hand, grabbed the baby bottle, and glared at him in furious indignation. He snatched the bottle and hurled it forcefully to the ground, then turned to the emperor and shouted, "I swear by all I have, this child is a heretic. We must immediately perform an exorcism ritual." Hearing these words, Isaac couldn't help but feel annoyed with that stubborn bastard. Then he slipped his hand into his coat. "I wouldn't normally do this, but it seems you've got something interesting here," he remarked. He produced from within himself a pair of severed hands, around which emanated a deep, mysterious, and terrifying purple aura. Seeing this, the bishop was utterly terrified, his face darkened with fear. That hand was the remnant of a colossal high-level demon, a creature capable of absorbing the life force of its own kind, which he kept with him in case he was pursued. He was terrified. How could this kid possibly know about it? At that moment, a mischievous glint appeared on his face. In the blink of an eye, he tossed the severed hand behind him. "Look closely, you dog. If you keep your eyes on me, don't say I didn't warn you." As the strange demonic hand just touched the ground, Isaac struck. His action caused the severed hand to transform into an enormous demon, which left the bishop utterly terrified. A demon, after all, came the unspoken thought. Meanwhile, Isaac appeared extremely smug, leisurely watching that massive creature. Suddenly, in the shrine chamber, a bizarre dark figure appeared, a shadowy entity with fierce red eyes and razor-sharp claws. Everyone in the room, with their weapons at the ready, was astonished, shouting, "How can a dark shadow appear here?" Unable to contain his panic, the emperor urgently demanded of the bishop, "Master Belit, explain quickly, what's a demon doing inside the shrine? Has anyone lost their mind?" The bishop was also terrified, his face completely drained of blood. "Can't you see, this child just retrieved a relic?" That young master is astonished. Relics are items associated with fallen demons. How could it possibly resurrect a demon instantly? The emperor immediately commanded his royal knights, "Everyone, listen up, quickly, protect the child from that wicked demon," and the bishop, all the soldiers and acolytes obeyed in unison. One of the royal knights rushed forward and snatched the child from the bishop's arms so swiftly that the man didn't even have time to react. "What's going on here?" After being carried off, the boy turned his head to glance at the crowd encircling the damned demon. "Damn, you pathetic wretch, how despicable, heh. Let's see just how powerful this bishop really is." The demon suddenly murmured, "Holy, holy man." Then suddenly roared, "Kill the holy man." The boy was left dumbfounded. What on earth was happening? The demon shouted once more, "Kill the holy man," as it lunged toward the boy. The royal knights immediately advanced to block the boy's path, gripping their razor-sharp swords to protect the young master. Meanwhile, the boy was perplexed, wondering, "I'm the one who resurrected it, so why is it targeting me?" Forget it. With holy knights at his side, what was there to worry about? No sooner had he thought that than one of them was felled by the demon, collapsing to the ground in agony. The boy hadn't expected them to fall so quickly. Are they really holy knights after all? The demon continued its advance, striking at him while proclaiming, "You must kill the holy man to rescue the imprisoned king." One by one, the royal holy knights were struck down. The knight holding the child grew increasingly terrified, clutching him so tightly that the boy was nearly smothered. "Hey, I've got to hold him back. No one's going to notice my mana in all this chaos, right?" The demon, in a frenzy, charged its target, to kill the boy, while the boy resolutely stared back at it. "Why is it that in this life, so many want to kill me? I saved you, and now you're turning on me." His eyes turned icy, unleashing streaks of blood. That ungrateful little demon. In an instant, the demon was intimidated by his aura. A burst of golden light suddenly emanated from him. The light grew increasingly intense, completely overwhelming the demon. The radiance from him left everyone around utterly astonished by his immense power. It was as if the light possessed miraculous power, overpowering the demon entirely, instilling such terror in it that it tried to flee. The demon transformed into a wisp of black smoke and fled. "The demon's running," someone shouted. Inside the shrine, everything returned to normal. "Holy power is holy power, isn't it? Sir Isaac has defeated a high-level demon. Truly impressive. He's so young, yet undeniably a young master." Everyone didn't hold back their praise. Looking at his small hands, one would never have guessed, "Oh my, he truly possesses holy power. How could this be? Mine is completely depleted. No way, has this strange body transformed my mana into holy power? Hold on, then how can I absorb 10 dark mana here? This holy nation is already so lacking in dark mana." Meanwhile, 2 royal knights escorting the bishop shouted, "Let me go, you fools." He roared in anger, "That brat is a heretic, he's used the power of demons, a demon, and dares to set foot in the holy nation. Sir, allow me to show you. I will perform an exorcism ritual to expose its true form." The emperor intervened, "That's enough, bishop. You dare slander an innocent candidate for sainthood as a heretic, and you even released a high-level demon in front of the royal holy knights." The emperor emphatically declared, "Even if you belong to the church, don't think I'll let this slide." Knowing he couldn't change the situation, the bishop secretly began to scheme. The seed of doubt had already been sown in his mind. Soon, he would unmask the traitor. If that were to happen, it would severely damage the church. Even if it costs my life, I must save my family. Therefore, while he was calculating his next move, he simultaneously formed a hand seal to summon a white wolf with sharp fangs and fierce red eyes, hoping to at least neutralize the candidate for sainthood. The massive white wolf charged toward the boy. The white wolf with its huge body is charging toward you. Contrary to the panic of the knights nearby, the stubborn kid remained remarkably calm. At last, he revealed his true nature. Did he really think he could kill me with that feeble attack? As the wolf advanced closer and closer, you suddenly realized, "Oh, I'm completely out of mana." Suddenly, a blue light appeared in the room. That light attacked the wolf from all directions, making it howl in pain. Then, a cold and imposing voice boomed, "How dare you lay a hand on the offspring of the Joshua clan?" A young noble, Ngo Tuan Tu, draped in a blue cloak, stepped in, followed by several others clad in blue cloaks, all exuding an air of imposing dignity and refined elegance. These are the knights of the Joshua clan, led by the seventh son of the clan. As soon as the prince of the Joshua clan entered, he ordered, "Arrest that bishop immediately." "Let me go, you Joshua clan dogs, how dare you lay a hand on me, bishop, resist." Meanwhile, young Isaac off to the side was thinking, "Hold on, Joshua, Joshua. I swear I've heard that name somewhere before." Then the prince ordered his knights to show their reverence. All the knights of the Joshua clan knelt in unison, exclaiming, "Hail, young master of the Joshua clan." Turning to the boy, the prince apologized, "Sorry for being late." Isaac, observing the prince's majestic demeanor, couldn't help but think that, with such solemnity, he must be even stronger than the royal knights. "I can't say this is to atone for past mistakes, but here's a small gift I wish to give you." As he spoke, the prince ordered a knight to fetch something from his pocket, a dazzling object. "Oh, gold, a gold ingot." The knight presented it, saying, "This is a model of the demon king Kolao, who was executed." Upon hearing the introduction, Isaac froze. Before he could even recover, they began competing. "We even have a model of him being burned alive, or would you prefer the one where he's crushed? You're getting so dazzled. Our young master is just too adorable. How can he be this cute?" Isaac was about to burst into tears. "How am I supposed to survive in this lunatic clan? Everyone around me is still making a ruckus. When will it ever end? Look at how he savors it. It's so adorable. He likes it so much he's even moved to tears." Suddenly, you remembered something. "Hold on, Joshua, Joshua." Then it hit you. The saintesses had once tried to defeat me. You recalled past battles. A girl once declared, "I am Exo Joshua, the 45th saintess." Another girl said, "I am Ox Joshua, the 61st saintess." You have no right to know my name. You should already know. They are all from the Joshua clan. Damn it, I'm not only a saint candidate but also born into a saintess clan. What sin did I commit in my past life to suffer this now? Suddenly, someone shouted, "Damn those Joshuas." One knight, holding the bishop tightly, shouted, "How dare you shut your mouth, give me the bishop's name." He continued cursing, "I knew from the start you were heretics. Where the hell did you pick up that creature? I will unmask your true identity," he snarled. As a sword began to be drawn, he continued hurling insults. "I never expected you to dare bring that monster with you. Has the Joshua clan fallen so far? I will definitely annihilate the Joshua clan, all of you." No sooner had he finished speaking than a slash cut across his temple, and blood immediately began to spurt. The prince of the Joshua clan sheathed his sword and said, "You should be grateful for the mercy of the Joshua clan. Thanks to that, we didn't behead you." Isaac muttered, "This guy seems useful, willing to attack the bishop just to badmouth his own clan. If he had a valid reason, he might even dare to strike the entire sanctuary." The nearby knights tried to reassure the young master, "Sir, you needn't listen to such words, just focus on the good news." But Isaac ignored them, thinking, "Damn it, none of these idiots are of any use. I think I remember them now, Joshua Tonsak. They were once extremely formidable foes. My former minions would shudder at the mere mention of Joshua Tonsak, yet they continue teasing Isaac non-stop. Behead the demon king Kolao, chop him up, stop it already." Damn, Isaac wanted to scream. "Since the emperor has just spoken, I will not forget this debt of gratitude. By the way, while we're on the subject, could you speak with your clan's leader about the royal family's wish to foster this child?" The prince of the Joshua clan replied, "Your Majesty, please don't joke." Whoa, my eyes are lighting up. Am I really being noticed by the royal family? Hoang, to convince both the inner and outer forces of the Holy Kingdom to target this young noble, you must have noticed this already, right? Of course, the Joshua family is by no means weak, but are you sure that your current pure faith is strong enough to protect this child? The prince hesitates for a moment. "Isaac, what's all this fuss about? What are they discussing?" The emperor continues, "Especially considering that even the divine emperor refused this child, the boy who shares the same hair color as the founding emperor. Moreover, perhaps even the dry demon king is chasing after the boy." Upon hearing this, Isaac was startled. "Wait, I'm the dry demon king, why would I have to chase myself?" The prince, holding Isaac's arm more tightly, said, "Please forgive me, Your Majesty, since this child belongs to the Joshua lineage, we will raise him as a member of our family. Whether it's the divine emperor or the dry demon king, the Joshua family is fully capable of handling them. Actually, I believe that the former Saintess Melissa would be overjoyed to meet the esteemed Dry Demon King again. The Emperor was at a loss for words. I believe so, too. The prince continued, so how can we agree to entrust the direct offspring of Saintess Melissa to the royal family for nurturing? Isaac's old acquaintance interjected, wait, Melissa. My final enemy before I launch my attack on the celestial realm is Melissa. She's the most stubborn and deranged saintess I've ever faced. Not only was I born as a candidate for sainthood in a saintess family, but I am also the direct descendant of Melissa. What the hell is happening in this life? Saintess means that after being defeated countless times by the Dry Demon King, they decided to create the ultimate weapon, a saintess. Saintess, rise up, the Dry Demon King must be killed. A staff created by the gods to punish evil, a holy aura, a battle deity of light in the Holy Kingdom, and the highest title awarded to a knight. With the overwhelming combat power of the saintesses, everyone believed that the Dry Demon King would soon be defeated. Their offense and defense rivaled divine survival instincts, and their relentless, selfless attacks, carried out by beautiful, mighty, long-lived individuals, seemed unstoppable. However, the Dry Demon King was extremely ruthless. Isaac recalled, I've never killed a saintess before, killing them only puts me at a disadvantage. Once a saintess dies, all her holy power returns to the deity and is then used to nurture future saintesses. Yet, the final saintess, Melissa, is truly powerful. Who would have thought that Melissa was my ancestor? The prince continued, a saintess exists with no desire other than to see the Dry Demon King's death. The Joshua family is the only one that has produced saintesses, and our sole mission is to defeat everything that opposes the deity. I am certain that the Joshua family can fully protect this child. The emperor falls silent in deep thought. The knights of the Joshua family added, that's right, do you know how many saintesses have perished at the hands of the Dry Demon King? Isaac frowned, has anyone done anything, has anyone even touched him? Still accusing, one said, the Dry Demon King once imprisoned a saintess in a labyrinth after deeming her unworthy of his presence, and even a saint died from despair. Isaac felt it was unfair, we let her go, so how was I supposed to know she'd be so lost? Damn it, she should have been taken to the infirmary in the first place. The prince reassured, don't worry, if you're cursed, we'll do everything to protect you. Isaac, clenching his chest in anger, thought, I am the one who cannot accept that. He continued, lifting Isaac up, we are very grateful for your birth, your parents only wished for one thing from you. With eyes filled with hope, he added, we only hope that you will not grow up to be like that wicked Dry Demon King. Isaac scowled. Oh, my unknown progenitors, I'm sorry for shattering your hopes and dreams. Hoang persisted, please reconsider, the progenitor, the Dry Demon King, was sealed 155 years ago. Isaac then realized, has it been that long already? Wait, does that mean Melissa has already passed away? She's been 50 years old since our last battle. During that time, the demon clan began expanding their forces. Having a saint by their side would be the perfect opportunity to enhance the Holy Kingdom's influence. Therefore, this young noble is extremely important to the royal family. However, as of now, there isn't a single saintess from the Isaac lineage. It's been over a year since the saintess who bore this child vanished along with her husband. Isaac gasped in astonishment, my mother is a saintess. But the prince of the Joshua family dismissed it entirely, even though my elder brother isn't here, the lady of the house is exceedingly powerful, the Joshua family can absolutely protect this child. Isaac, cradling his head, thought, there's nothing that can surprise me anymore. What could be more astonishing than my mother being a saintess? Not so, the Lady Melissa is currently on her way to exterminate the Dry Demon King's minions. She'll return soon, and the lady of the house will undoubtedly be overjoyed to see her grandson. Isaac lowered his head in pain. She's over 200 years old, yet she hasn't died. Well, it will be a while until Melissa returns. It seems the child is worried, but the boy will be fine. He'll soon be fine. Isaac, sweating profusely with bloodshot eyes, thought, will I really be okay, with my eternal enemy still alive? Gritting my teeth like this, the moment Melissa finds out that I'm going to be burned on a stake, it wouldn't matter if it were someone else, but Melissa is the last person I'd ever confront. Isaac clutched the Emperor's hand tightly in order to survive. Putting on his cutest face possible, he pleaded, oh, Your Majesty, please take me with you. Oh, this child. The two of them tussled once again. Isaac thought, look, even the boy wants to return to the royal family, he's just being a little too friendly, Your Majesty. The Emperor pulled Isaac closer, The royal family can provide many things for the boy. Even though the Joshua family specializes in producing saintesses, they don't have much experience nurturing saints. The prince, unwilling to concede, said, "This child was destined to be an exorcist knight, and no family is better than the Joshua family at training exorcist knights, Your Highness. Moreover, he is the first saint born in history. Isn't it true that the royal family also lacks experience nurturing saints?" Both sides struggled fiercely. Is the royal family better or the Isaac family? No, the Isaac family is better. Isaac, exhausted, exclaimed, "Oh my God, stop it, the knights are already intervening, please, calm down. If we keep this up, in 2 days these young nobles will tear each other apart." Trapped in the middle, Isaac pleaded helplessly, "We'll go with the royal family, so please stop, I don't want to die. Besides, light shines upon life. That light continuously radiates from the Emperor, which means I'll have a better chance of surviving if I follow him. I can't afford to miss this opportunity." The Emperor, clearly pleased, couldn't hide his smile. "A wise choice, my child." Isaac's eyes lit up. "Here is." In another scene, in a deserted area, someone remarked, "No way, I'm certain it used mana." "I'm convinced that the child is a demon spawn," declared the bishop standing before a mysterious group. "Is that man the leader of the holy force, personally appointed by the deity? So the one speaking to me, does the demon clan now wield holy power?" Drawing his sword, the bishop said in fear, "But I'm certain that is mana. How could I possibly confuse mana with holy power?" The leader responded coldly, "The holy court has issued its final verdict on your statement." The head priest of the church, after finishing his sentence, swung his sword, the blade slicing into his aorta as blood sprayed everywhere. The executioner, his eyes bloodshot, read the punishment for the crime of profaning the divine. Another voice proposed, "I'll go gather an attack team." "Not necessary, anyway, the emperor will take the child with him. Since there are still plenty of opportunities within the royal territory, we'll plan for that later." Trapped in a pressure cooker, Isaac's ears began to itch. If anyone mentions him again, this time that brat is sure to die. In the murky darkness of night, a group clad in black cloaks gathered in a corner of the courtyard. Amid the howling winds, they all awaited their leader's decision. After a moment of thought, he smirked wickedly. "Anyway, the emperor will take the child with him. Since there are plenty of opportunities in the royal territory, we'll plan for that later." A faint whistle affirmed, "This time, that brat is definitely going to die." Meanwhile, Kim Isaac, still unaware that someone cared for him, lay dazed when he suddenly felt a slight itch in his ear. From Kim Isaac's perspective, peering through the window beside the child's bed, the sunlight outside was dazzling, and the sky seemed wider than ever. He scratched his ear, his bloodshot eye squinting as he murmured, "Right now, I'm heading towards the Joshua estate." From high above, one could easily see a luxurious carriage escorted by armored knights riding in perfect formation. The group in black from last night, now clad in mourning, looked down in bewilderment at the scene. All their eyes quickly turned toward their leader, seeking an explanation. "Wait, Your Excellency." The story then shifted back a few days. Inside a room, a dazzling light appeared, captivating everyone's curiosity. That light was. At that moment, Kim Isaac was being held by Alexander Heathcliff Heller, his eyes so tightly bound that he had to raise his chubby hands to cover them. Confused, he muttered, "Why am I tied up like this? Hey, my eyes." Riley Joshua quickly interjected, "Yes, Your Majesty, Joshua, this isn't exactly a good place to raise a child." He bowed respectfully and said sincerely, "Perhaps you think this place is nothing but a graveyard of demon clan corpses and mana cores." Kim Isaac was equally astonished, exclaiming, "The primordial will to survive is that intense." From Reli Joshua's hand, a dazzling halo emerged. Yong, his voice softening, added, "The most valuable thing in Joshua is none other than the corpse of the Dry Demon King." Upon hearing this earth-shattering news, Kim Isaac's face went pale, his mouth agape as he imagined, "My body, you all are holding my body." Inside, he was screaming so intensely that he should have spoken up sooner. Kim Isaac quickly reached out his small hand to grasp Riley Joshua's, causing him to momentarily stop mid-sentence. Still, Joshua managed a "huh." Kim Isaac's face lit up with excitement as he waved his hand energetically, drawing everyone's attention. The little child expressed his delight in his own adorable way. Unable to resist the cuteness, Riley Joshua raised his hand to cover his mouth in emotion. Isaac. Back in the present, Kim Isaac lies lazily gazing out the window, his mind a tangle of thoughts. Even though he was dragged from the royal family and forced into the army, if he wants to regain his body, he has no other choice. His thoughts quickly drift to the image of a fearsome, withered skeleton clutching a magical orb, a body whose arcane power I've honed to rival that of the gods. If I can reclaim it, even level 10 will be nothing. Recalling the dazzling light summoned by Riley Joshua, he becomes even more resolute in his decision. After all, it's the first time I've seen such a brilliant light born from the sheer will to survive. Following Joshua will greatly benefit my survival. On the carriage of the golden-haired knight, someone is buzzing with curiosity. Why are the papal forces chasing young Master Isaac? Hearing this, Kim Isaac quickly clings to the edge, eavesdropping. I wonder why they are so panicked, he thinks. Riley Joshua doesn't hold back and speaks plainly. Because they've received a prophecy from the gods, they said that a saint will become the child of the divine. The two inside the carriage continue chatting, unaware of his eavesdropping. So that man will be the next pope. That's why they attacked Belit. They wanted a saint. Kim Isaac's chubby face fills with disdain. Where is this bizarre turn of events heading? He quickly recalls a few details. The pope is capable of using level 10 holy magic, the most powerful among the clergy. To all the priests and holy knights in the holy nation, he is like a king, a man whose authority rivals that of an emperor. While sprawled out, Kim Isaac muses deeply. For thousands of years, Belit has produced popes, so they are naturally alarmed at the thought of a saint snatching that power away from them. No wonder every other clan wants to produce a saint too. At that moment, murmurs and exclamations arise outside the carriage, drawing the attention of both parties. He quickly peeks out and asks the coachman, "What's happening?" The flustered coachman removes his hat and replies, "Young Master Riley, we've arrived at the principality, but there's a small problem." In the distance, behind the coachman, the silhouettes of 3 gate guards can be seen slowly advancing. One of them, seemingly the leader, raises his hand to stop them and announces, "I'm sorry, but you are not allowed to enter the principality." Sensing the tension, Kim Isaac peeks out again. "What now?" Riley Joshua bellows angrily, "Do you not recognize the insignia of the Joshua clan? What sort of education have you received?" The lead guard smirks, revealing sharp fangs, and hisses, "Of course you cannot enter." No sooner had he finished speaking than he lunges forward, his hand morphing into claw-like talons, ready to strike. "We must eliminate that child, the heir to the capital's bloodline." Witnessing this transformation, the knights are horrified. Kim Isaac, who had been eavesdropping, is startled. "What the hell is this? I was certain I ordered them not to attack human territory. What on earth is the new Demon King up to?" A red-haired demon laughs wickedly, points, and declares, "Listen here, you miserable humans, our revered king has ordered the execution of all saints and holy women without hesitation." At this, Isaac is left speechless. He immediately realizes that the new Demon King has ascended. The red-haired demon drones on, "In the name of our great Demon King, the venerable King Isaac, we shall exterminate the saints." Hearing these booming words, his round face twitches as he mutters under his breath, "By the monkey's name, since when did you idiots get so stupid?" All the demons, suffused with demonic aura, begin to brandish their claws in threat. "If you let that child live, His Majesty, the Demon King, might spare you." Before they can finish, a bolt of lightning strikes, instantly turning one of the demons to gold and leaving the rest frozen in place. After the lightning's flash, that demon is reduced to a heap of charred flesh collapsing to the ground. Though terrified, one demon grits his teeth and dares to threaten the lowly holy knight. Riley Joshua grits his teeth and seethes, "How dare you speak that way to a demon of the Joshua household? Clearly, you'd prefer not to die." He draws his sword and points it straight ahead, his face hidden in the darkness and unreadable as he commands, "Listen here." Riley Joshua swiftly flips his hand holding the sword and calmly declares, "To protect all that is precious in this world, the Joshua clan will eradicate all evil." The knights promptly draw their swords, mimicking Joshua's stance, their resolve mounting. Once everyone agrees, he shouts, "We will pursue you to the ends of hell to exterminate your kind." The wind tousles Riley's hair as a sharp glint flashes in his eyes. With a mocking tone, he says, "I can't believe that wicked Demon King, what a despicable wretch, to even deploy his minions." The demonic horde, not yet having seen their comrades' corpses or shed a tear, charge forward with all their might. "How dare a lowly human like you?" The lizard demon snarls, slashing at his mouth, and, in a fit of fury, spits insults at Demon King Isaac for the resurrection of His Majesty Isaac. The knights of the Rotsua clan show no sign of hesitation as they quickly draw their swords to block the golden-haired knight, then swiftly grab Kim Isaac and cover his eyes. He reacts immediately. Kim Isaac jumps to another spot, though he narrowly escapes the peril. He doesn't forget to quickly apologize, "I'm sorry, young master." Kim Isaac is whisked away at an incredible speed on a rapid retreat, still dazed and barely recovering. What's going on? Is someone impersonating me? He wonders. The golden-haired knight quickly escorts Isaac to a secluded corner of the forest before coming to a stop. He promptly sets him down on a patch of grass and gently instructs, "Please wait here." The golden-haired knight swiftly uses magic to conjure a protective barrier around Isaac, promising, "I'll be back shortly." Isaac is utterly astonished by the intricacy of the ceiling barrier. Isaac extends his chubby hand and silently muses, "Not even a high-level demon can break through this, it's truly formidable." After a brief inspection, he reveals a refreshed face, clearly satisfied that nothing from the outside can intrude, and nothing from inside can escape. After thoughtful deliberation, Isaac decisively closes his eyes and concentrates his spirit. If that's the case, then let the will to survive unleash its magic. The space around him swiftly transforms into a fantastical scene, a starry expanse teeming within his consciousness. "Hear my call, you who were forged by magic yet endowed with intellect," a voice resonates. Muttering softly, the observer remarks as a dark figure with an unassuming form appears. But just as it begins to speak, it vanishes, leaving only a mischievous charm and an oddly endearing look. "My dear Master Isaac," it says. Isaac quickly covers its mouth, and it replies, "Millimeter, millimeter, I know, it's been ages, hush now, or you'll be snatched away." The observer quickly expresses its longing. "I had thought I'd never again behold your magnificent visage, I truly believed my fate was sealed without you." Gazing at the dark mists merrily singing, Isaac ponders and softly whispers, "Although it's merely a tracking spell, it has developed its own consciousness. I created it because manually tracking and analyzing is too cumbersome. Along the way, it has developed a personality, albeit a rather naive one." The observer chuckles and interjects, "Your cruelty remains as vast as ever. Congratulations on seizing the body of an utterly innocent child." Feeling deeply offended, Isaac retorts. The observer, with a tone of boredom, circles around and inquires, "But what did those filthy deities do to your master? No matter how wicked he might be, I cannot believe they'd confine him within the sordid vessel of this child." Not wanting to continue this topic, it dismisses the matter and resumes scanning for enemies. Turning serious and retracting its earlier smirk, the observer states, "Enough of that, let us begin." Immediately, it conjures a vortex of demonic aura and dashes forward. "Now, I will scan within a 100-meter radius." Using its power, the observer quickly reports, "There are 8, yes, 8 enemies, all monsters. Such creatures can never compare to my great master." Hearing this, Isaac is astonished, nearly cursing. "Wait a minute, 8, are they gearing up for a fight or what?" Amid his confusion, he suddenly realizes, "This will be a huge nuisance. If the territory's defenses grow stronger, summoning my subordinates will be even tougher. Things are already cramped. I must finish before the Joshua clan catches up." Isaac falls to his knees, resolute, "Even if I have to expend all my stored mana, I must do this myself." Noticing his master's helpless state, the observer steadily announces, "There are currently 15 enemies." Then it quickly updates, "The number of enemies is rapidly decreasing, now only 3 remain." Isaac is startled. What? Suddenly, it dropped like that. Fulfilling its role as a reporting device, the observer updates again, "Now there are 13. Young master, something is approaching." Joshua is likewise taken aback and rallies his entire defensive formation. Just as the battle rages on, the demons scramble over. Upon arrival, only the final 4 remain. "You've finally arrived, brother," one of them exclaims. The lizard demon sticks out its tongue and, with a wicked grin, urges, "Come on, let's attack together." The observer lowers its face, its expression unreadable, and mumbles repeatedly, "Today, we shall take the lives of the saints, saints." Before the lizard demon can finish its sentence, it delivers a chilling blow to the abdomen, causing the others to flinch. Only Demon King Kola remains to assess the situation. The Joshua Knights, witnessing this, are struck dumb, every face turns pale and ashen. The observer chuckles wickedly, declaring, "There are no more enemies left." At that moment, it quickly changes its report. In the distance, a group of knights is now facing off against a giant demonic beast. "I've detected a ghostly lick." The ghost bellows in fury, "How dare you lay your filthy hand upon my king? Prepare to meet your end." Seeing this, Isaac's face twitches in disbelief, as if he cannot comprehend the unfolding events. What is he now, he wonders. The primordial entity emits eerie, unearthly sounds. "How dare you touch my king with your filthy hands? Surrender your life." Isaac watches in horror. What's happening to him now? His face has gone pale. Then, the entity's eyes flare up as it rasps, "My king, my one and only master." The entity's murderous aura intensifies as it roars, "How dare you devour him within the body of a lowly child?" Because Kim Isaac was the one who freed it, all the warped affections that the dark forces harbored for him suddenly burst forth. It warns those present, do not dare to glare at the child with those loathsome eyes. The entity bellows again, we shall pluck your eyes out, just you wait. The golden-haired knight hurriedly asks, Riley, what is he saying, young master? But the humans can't understand, for he speaks in another language. The entity on this side laughs heartily, oh, this is utter chaos. Isaac, somewhat hesitant, thinks, so that bastard has realized I'm Demon King Kola, his persistence in following me is commendable, but… Meanwhile, the knights begin to act, all the warriors ready themselves for battle. Clearly, Isaac inwardly bellows, what are you doing over there, putting on a show? He makes every effort to communicate to the golden-haired knight, over there, not far off, listen, you damn fool, do not block my path, or you'll incur my immeasurable wrath. Still full of determination, he shouts, young master Wysack, please wait just a little longer, I'll resolve this. Then, that eerie laughter echoes once again. The core couldn't help but feel pleased that my master had recognized me, my guiding light had acknowledged me, yet in the eyes of the golden-haired knight there was nothing but fear and frantic screams, while young Master Riley of that demon tribe was displaying clear hostility. At that moment, the core darted past the group of knights. I'll go straight to my master at once. Riley quickly spotted that direction and aimed at Isaac, that despicable wretch was heading right for him. The core charged in wildly, you filthy holy knights, how dare you seal him away in such a squalid place, Isaac thought, perfect, I've caught his eye. He couldn't help but feel helpless, there's no way I can let my mana core be exorcised. Isaac strained to convey his three crucial instructions, let's begin by breaking this protective barrier. At that moment, the core, elated, laughed, I did it. It then continued targeting Isaac's protective shield, following its master's command. The golden-haired knight cried out, young master of celestial magic, Riley, meanwhile, was clearly in a panic. Isaac simply smiled in satisfaction. After being escorted by the core, he praised it, well done. Isaac then extended both hands to grasp the core. For 3 hours, stop making a fuss, just rest for a bit. Before it could understand what was happening, its master spun around. In an instant, Isaac hurled it far away, leaving only its screams of, why, behind. Witnessing this display, Riley turned as pale as a sheet, as if to say, no way. Isaac, still completely at ease, deduced from over here that the core had transformed into a demonic form. Unable to contain himself, the golden-haired knight happily exclaimed, that core's transformation into a demon on its very first trial, how extraordinary, isn't it? Others joined in the cheers for Isaac, saying, that's a divine technique, only someone as powerful as a top alchemist or a saintess could use it. Isaac thought, divine technique, please, I'm just using mana. Riley speculated, it must be the core transformation divine technique, but even for a technique of such high caliber, it's odd that I can't sense any holy power from it. The golden-haired knight then remarked as if to say, you know, a person's true worth is only revealed in moments of crisis. He recalled how that very person had once ambushed the young master. I'm sure even a tennis ball would have sensed the danger instinctively, so it rushed to eliminate the source of peril. The golden-haired knight continued to heap praise upon Isaac, declaring, our young master is simply marvelous, I'm absolutely convinced that he is a saint. From afar, Riley mused, there's nothing wrong with him, even the demon tribe has come here targeting that kid, if he isn't a saint, then he must possess something truly special. He gritted his teeth and wondered, but why does it always have to be a little boy? Riley then recalled, because of Demon King Coralau's curse, Joshua's sons will suddenly. At that moment, the golden-haired knight's voice cut through his thoughts, I've made up my mind. Cradling Isaac in his arms, he declared with determination, as the captain of the pure faith, I will safeguard your future, the future of our entire clan. Riley was taken aback by this. He smiled gently and replied, I see, you're such a fool. Riley reached out to lift Isaac, I just fear that Demon King Coralau's curse might one day bring glory to Joshua through this child. Hoisting Isaac up, he confidently declared, let's head home, Isaac, your uncle will teach you many things. Riley continued, you possess extraordinary talent, I'll nurture you into an exceptional knight. Isaac inwardly mused, I'm not going to become that, as long as I can return home and reclaim my body, it's all right. Riley added another remark that left Isaac dumbfounded, even if you don't live long, I'll protect you at any cost. Isaac thought, how idiotic. Riley went on to proclaim, your name will echo throughout this entire continent. Isaac protested vehemently, wait, what in the world, hold on, I've got a feeling you're about to say something extremely urgent. From the other side, Riley mused, I knew you'd like it, only for Isaac to shout, ah, no. Riley proposed, once we get home, I'll start by teaching you how to curse Demon King Corella and strip him of any honor. Someone under their breath muttered, damn you, you filthy bastards. At that moment, the carriage arrived at Duke Joshua's estate. The statues were exquisitely carved in gleaming gold. Even the architecture of the building was remarkably intricate. Isaac looked out at the scene with growing fury. These imbecilic bastards, so eager to butcher the demon tribe, yet living in such extravagance, how much money must that place be burning through? He remembered his time among the demon tribe and thought sadly, those damn bourgeois scum, I had to work myself to the bone, wearing out my clothes just to feed my children. A dark-skinned youngster said to him, oh my, master, this place is on a completely different level compared to our ramshackle palaces. If we sold a few of these carved statues, we could buy 10 Demon King castles. Isaac promptly reminded him, I already know, now shut up. Ryle lifted Isaac up and said, this is the Joshua estate, Isaac, this is the birthplace of exorcism and of vanquishing monsters on the continent. He carried Isaac outside to take a look. A group of people were training with dummies. When you grow up, you'll be just like those kids, they joked. They struck the dummies with their staffs, shouting, die, Demon King. As they beat the targets, their anger was evident. They cursed, damn you, not enough, damn you, Demon King Corella. The shouts rang out, die, die. Isaac stood rooted to the spot, thinking, what on earth are you teaching these kids? Is this a fanatical family? He tried to reassure himself, it doesn't really matter anyway. Isaac mused, as long as I infiltrate the Holy Empire, I'll incinerate the Emperor and transform this place into my own empire. Then, in a low whisper to someone nearby, he added, what are you doing, my lord? Instead of dealing with Demon King Corella, you're hassling a bunch of kids. How pathetic. He then ordered, quiet down and go scout the area. It immediately replied, of course. A dazzling, radiant building caught everyone's eye. Isaac murmured while calculating, they are all manhwas. How can there be 10 of them? Even that dark-skinned kid admitted, this is the first time I've seen so many manhwas gathered in one place. Just how many demons did they slay? At that moment, a servant announced, young master, we have arrived. Riley stepped down from the carriage and ordered, prepare a room for me and Isaac, we'll be staying together. The steward stuttered, about that. He quickly said, I'm sorry, young master, Riley, we've been ordered to bring young master Isaac to the annex building. Isaac was puzzled, the annex, why? The steward, looking embarrassed, replied, young Master Lu has decreed that Isaac must never be brought into the main building. Isaac was thoroughly displeased. What now? Riley, of course, was equally dissatisfied. Don't you want to take Isaac to that damn cursed place? Isaac grew even more confused, thinking, this family is something else. In all the years I've been out there as a whelp, I already knew Joshua was falling apart. Riley complained, he really is doing something futile. Isaac silently agreed, exactly, I can live in a mansion, so why must I be sent to the annex? Then, in a low whisper by his ear, someone said, the manhwas are located in the annex. Riley ordered, step aside, I cannot allow my own son to remain in that miserable dump. Hearing this, Isaac protested vehemently, no, 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 we must go to the annex. Despite Isaac's objections, Riley didn't understand. He then consoled, come to my room, Isaac, I'll read to you the sacred texts about how the great saintess fought against Demon King Corella, as if it were a bedtime story. After that, I'll teach you the exorcism method specifically devised for Demon King Corella. Isaac's face turned ashen. What the, exorcism? You want to kill him? Just then, a voice rang out, what's with always picking up stray kids? You're overdoing it. He retorted with a laugh, I clearly said I'd bring that kid to the annex. That guy doesn't realize that after secretly opposing Riley for so long, he's now daring to defy his own kin. That man was none other than the 5th son of the Joshua family, Gaul Joshua. Isaac turned around and exclaimed, oh my. Seeing the two face off, he concluded, he's such a scoundrel. Gaul then taunted, I'll send that one to the annex. Riley furiously retorted, are you kidding me? That child is a descendant of Joshua. There's no way we can send him to the annex, the very place that was once used for exile. Inside, Isaac wanted to scream, forget me, just send me to the annex already. At that moment, Gaul reached out and touched Isaac's cheek, asking, where on earth did you find this ragged kid? He even mocked the descendant remark. Isaac thought, I kind of like the idea of being sent to the annex, but what's with this guy? Are you some priest or just a lowlife? Isaac sighed and decided, fine, whatever, I just need to get to the annex and absorb some mana. Meanwhile, Riley was grilling Gal. I thought you knew why I want to send this kid to the annex. He stated bluntly, I want everyone to believe that this child is cursed so that his inheritance rights can be nullified. Instantly, Isaac's eyes widened. The inheritance rights? Wait a minute. Isaac suddenly remembered something and grew furious, wanting to lash out. That won't do. I even want to suck this whole place dry to turn it into a holy sanctuary, then create a church of the Holy Emperor to take revenge on those damn deities. Gal, nonchalantly, replied, I want everyone to think so. I heard a demon appear to snatch this kid. It seems he's been cursed after all. The golden-haired knight, hearing this, roared in anger. No, young Master Isaac has already taken part in exorcising that demon. He recounted very seriously how the demon appeared, because that proved his importance. Even the knight behind him replied, exactly, he possesses the divine power of a saint. Upon hearing that, he burst out laughing. You clowns are still trying to cover for that piece of trash. Don't mess with me. If you keep calling the next one a saint, then show me its power. At that moment, the whisperer leaned over to Isaac and murmured, why don't you let him show his power by summoning a meteor? Hearing this, he immediately shot back, a meteor? That's a load of crap. Gal sneered as he continued, right then, if you want to call him a saint. He dismissed it as nothing more than an absurd condition from the other side. Gal challenged Isaac, the clan emblem or whatever, why not have it resurrect that thing you love so much? He sneered mockingly, that divine being died because of the demon's dark mana. If it really had what it takes to be a saint, wouldn't it have easily resurrected that thing? Gal, pleased with himself, pressed on, if it truly is a candidate for sainthood as you all claim, then let me ask you again, do you even know what you're saying? Isaac snapped, Melissa, you're a fine fighter, but your descendants amount to nothing, he added after a pause. Your eldest son went missing, and the other was just adopted, HMPH. Suddenly, Isaac noticed something. What's that? The other whispered, what's happening? Isaac grabbed it and asked in a whisper, what do you think? It whispered back, I don't understand anything, He immediately tossed it aside and charged at the little brat, while the whisperer could only shout helplessly, wait a minute. Riley still wanted to negotiate with Gal, a dead, withered tree at 75, you expect a kid who hasn't even learned to speak. But then both of them turned around in shock. In Riley's eyes, his offspring suddenly lit up. What the hell is this, a divine being? The tree quickly turned vibrant and green again. Everyone stared in amazement at the lush tree, exclaiming, it's come back to life. Gal stuttered, even recovery and purification magic couldn't save him. What on earth happened? Isaac smirked, it's just a trivial mosquito matter. He recalled that there was some dark mana near the roots, so he absorbed it. The whisperer then returned to report, I've absorbed all the mana over there, I'm so bloated now. The golden-haired knight, panic-stricken, asked, Sir, how did you do that with the tree? Honestly, came the reply, I did nothing at all. The guy was utterly stunned. Really, is that so? Inside Riley, Isaac let out a few guttural laughs. All that mana went to waste. Then he whispered back, and what about you? Do you want me to puke it all out again? Then the golden-haired knight shouted, everybody, to the village, so Isaac has done it. At that point, Gal laughed awkwardly and sneered, you all idiots, not a single one in your clan can save that tree, would even a stinky, milk-scented little brat be able to do it?